Now, when we talk about saving as an image, it's pretty easy. As you can see, I just have an image here where I right-clicked, and then you have the Save as Picture option. Now, a few things to think about when you're thinking of images in PowerPoint. So the first is Clipart and images in general. You kind of have two types when you're working in PowerPoint. You have a bitmap images and you have vector images. Bitmap images are just pixels. So you're going to have a certain number of pixels across and a certain number of pixels down. And when you take an image like that and you scale it, you'll notice it starts to become pixelated, so you lose the clarity. And the reason is because there's only a certain number of pixels in it, and when you increase the size of the image, you're just increasing the pixels, and then the pixels become more obvious to you. When you look at images like Clipart and you scale it and it really remains crisp, then those are vector-based images. And the way they work is they're not bitmaps or pixels. It's a calculation that the system makes, and it knows what should be there. When you scale it, it recalculates and you get a nice crisp redrawn image versus a bitmap image where everything's static. So that's kind of the two types of images. A lot of times I'll tell people about ungrouping Clipart. You'll know if you can ungroup the Clipart. As a matter of fact, the screenshot shows it, if you actually see the ungroup icon. If it's grayed out, then it means you can't ungroup it. But if it's not grayed out, that means you can ungroup it, and then you can manipulate that. Now when it comes to image formats, you kind of have three main formats that people are familiar with. One is you have the GIF. GIF works well for simple colors. Like in this case, you could save this type of thing as a GIF because it's really just the black, gray, and the yellow, and everything's a solid color. There's no gradient to it. GIFs work great with simple colors. One of the things that's nice about it is it retains the transparency that you have on the image. You'll notice if you have a lot of gradients to the color, like if you take a real picture and you convert that to a GIF where you might have millions of colors in there, you'll get that kind of streaking or the blocky look with the colors, and that's just because the GIFs can only handle so many colors. Now JPEGs are typically what people would see for regular pictures or photos. What's nice about that is it handles all those colors, so you get a real nice, smooth, crisp look. The challenge with that is when you have transparent elements on the JPEG, those transparent elements are converted to white. So if you have a Clipart image like this and you saved it as a JPEG, while this squared in area here might be transparent, when you save it as a JPEG and you bring it back in, it'll actually just be filled with white. Now to alleviate that, what you'd want to do is save it as a PNG file. The PNG file gives you kind of the best of both worlds. You get all the color that you would get with a JPEG, but you also retain the transparency. Now if you want to maintain the vector element, you can try to save it as an EMF or a WMF file and then just play around with it. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a matter of experimenting with that. But you kind of have a lot of options when you right-click and save as picture, and then just play around with the formats and kind of, I would create something and then save it in different formats, bring it in and see what works for you.